Hello, my name is Mark Johnson. I'm editorial board chair for CDO Magazine. Today, I have the great pleasure of speaking with two gentlemen who are leaders at a company called INFINIDAT out of Silicon Valley. Today, with me is Eric Herzog, Chief Marketing Officer, and Ken Steinhardt, Field CTO, both with INFINIDAT. Gentlemen, welcome to the interview.
Thank you, Mark. Really appreciate CDO inviting us to participate.
Great.
Thanks again, Mark. Very glad to be here.
Awesome. Storage is obviously critical. Data is everything when we talk about digital transformation. So Ken, everyone's talking about digital transformation. Can you tell us what it's all about?
Sure. The concept is hardly new, despite the fact that the term is relatively new in recent years. Effectively, the whole industry has been going through digital transformation literally since the first computers. We just didn't use the terms to describe it in the same way at the same time.
Right.
If you look at some examples that abound in banking and finance, the concept of being able to transition to something we all take for granted today, like an ATM. I'm old enough to remember when you needed a physical passbook to go into a bank and talk to a human being as the only possible way to be able to get money in or out of a bank. And look at how things have changed. And now online bills, online bill payments, those are all digital transformation. Right. Yeah. When a rental car company back in the late 80s made a transition from saying, hey, instead of having to go to a counter when you return your car, I'm going to have a handheld device right in the garage that's going to check you in and give you a receipt right on the spot so you can get off to your gate at an airport or wherever. That was digital transformation in action. Mm-hmm. Speaking of airlines, even just the ability to check in online for airlines and to be able to do everything that they do these days. Real-time credit card fraud detection to be able to assess whether or not a transaction is valid or not. These are all digital transformation. Or one that I can relate to personally of late that I've been checking into is now an amusement park, a very well-known amusement park, where you can plan all of your activities for the day and book individual attractions and even book your meals in advance online so you don't have to wait for them and you can just pick them up when you go to get them. These are all digital transformation. And the beauty of it is it's not only been going on since the inception of computing, but it's going to keep going on. Now, relative to what your readers and viewers and subscribers probably care about a lot, which is in the area of data and how that works, it's been a fundamental transition, I think, from backward-looking views of how we analyze data. Historically, it was always what happened yesterday, what happened last week, what happened last month or year, to now the use of information for what will happen next week or next month or next year, and how do I get ahead of the curve, and how do I plan with predictive analytics for things that are going to happen. So the beauty of digital transformation is it's not only been around, but it's never going to slow down and it's never going to stop.
Yeah, you make a really good point. The industry in terms of the application of computers to business transactions was initially called data processing.
Oh, yeah.
You recall, and I'm old enough to remember that, and when punch cards were a part of that equation. But today, we have information technology, and we're moving to a world where we just think about digital transformation as the term that applies. But there's always been, you're exactly right. There's always been business processes and transactions moving around and interactions with customers. We just keep increasingly digitizing those interactions, don't we? And
absolutely.
That's the whole idea about transformation. Hey, if I'm going to deploy digital transformation as sort of just a strategy for my business, what kinds of things do I need to change in my IT environment?
Well, you brought up a great point, because how things had changed from early on, when dinosaurs like me started in data processing, and it was indeed called that, we were using cards for all of our input. The only people that knew about an issue if there was a performance problem would have been the people in the data center themselves. Anybody outside of it would have had no visibility to it whatsoever. Right. Then we grew into the world of interactive processing, and suddenly your internal users might have access to something, or possibly then with the emergence of things like ERP, maybe your suppliers, your customers, clients now have access. Today on the web, everybody sees everything. So you've got to be online all the time. If your systems aren't highly available, everybody in the world is going to know it, and it's going to directly impact your entire organization and your business very, very negatively, very fast. It also means, by nature of everything going on the web, that performance and response time must be consistent all the time, and it must be good. It also means you're going to need more data to work with to be able to serve analytics and things to people that get them. I always think of the example of, just as the great analogy to why more information is useful. If somebody asked how a particular meeting went in one word, you might say good. If you were asked to describe it in 2 words, you might say not good, which gives a very different inflection to the perspective. How about in 3 words? Not good, great. How about in 4 words? Not good, great, disaster. You get the idea. So
Right.
A lot has really changed and will continue to change.
Yep, that's really true. I'm just reflecting on data and the explosion. I used to run global infrastructure and shared services for Veritas Software and Symantec Corporation.
Sure.
My largest line item of expenditure in my infrastructure budget was storage. And storage is really key because of all the data we continue to amass within the enterprise. As I think about this, we were in a virtual conference call in Teams yesterday, actually, a half-day workshop. We recorded the meeting, but Teams also not only now collects the audio and the video of the recording, but provides a transcript. And that's data that we were never collecting before, from an interaction that's 4 hours long with, 11 people. So fascinating topic of digital transformation, really changing the way that we work and creating, value scenarios that we never could access before. As we think about this whole idea, it sounds like what you're describing is service levels at a certain point. Is that really all about service levels, resiliency and providing the ability to have all these interactions delivered where needed, when needed, and in the form needed? And as we talked about cybersecurity, with trust in them. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, well, great observation, Mark, because it really has become all about service levels. Service levels are the new differentiators between organizations, particularly where there may be similar products. It's how they will differentiate themselves in the market. Something as simple as if you go to a website to purchase a retail item, and one particular site constantly is giving you immediate response and giving you detailed information about a product that you're looking at, you're more likely to do business there than one that maybe doesn't have as much information or background or as many images or whatever, and certainly isn't responding as quickly. So yes, it has become all about service levels indeed. And that'll be the differentiator in the future between organizations where they have competitors with relatively similar products and aren't as highly differentiated on the product itself.
So Eric, thank you so much for making the time, and Ken, for being here with me today. This interview is going to post at CDO Magazine in several component parts. I think we're going to post 2 or 3 segments of it. So it'll be fascinating for everyone to listen to each one of those segments. Again, Mark Johnson here, Editorial Board Chair for CDO Magazine, also Regional Vice President of operations for Fusion Alliance here in the Southwest Ohio, Northern Kentucky region. Thank you both for spending time with me today, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for including us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you all. Take care.